Krishna. We are so fortunate to have His Grace Gokul Das Prabhu from Mayapur, India. And Prabhuji will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagvatam 7.11. Verse 14 and onwards. And just for give Prabhuji's introduction, he is Prabhupada disciple and he is settled in Mayapur. So Prabhuji, please take over the call now. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so bear with me. I have a cold, and being severely dyslexic, I have dyslexia, and and some of these words are like have more letters in them than the alphabet itself. So excuse me. I'm just gonna struggle through once the pronunciation of the text, the Sanskrit, just for our purification, to hear those holy syllables, and then I'll move right on to the translation. So here goes. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Milatam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Okay, here's the verse. Viprasyad, excuse me. Viprasyad yayanadini sad anyasyas prati grahaha ragyo vritihi praja goptur avi prad va karad dibihi. Okay. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. For a Brahmana, there are 6 occupational duties. A Kshatriya should not accept charity, but he may perform the other 5 of these duties. A king or Kshatriya is not allowed to levy taxes on Brahmanas, but he may make his livelihood by levying minimal taxes, customs duties, and penalty fines upon his other subjects. Report. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the position of Brahmanas and Kshatriyas as follows. Brahmanas have 6 occupational duties, of which 3 are compulsory, namely studying the Vedas, worshiping the deity, and giving charity. By teaching, by inducing others to worship the deity, and by accepting gifts, the Brahmanas receive the necessities of life. This is also confirmed in the Manu Samhita, which is a literal translation of what Prabhupada just wrote. Of the 6 occupational duties, Brahmanas, oh yeah, this is a literal translation of what, this is an exact repeat of what Prabhupada just wrote. Okay. Excuse me. So a Brahmana cannot take up any professional occupation for duty, any occupational duty for his livelihood. The Shastras especially stress that if one claims to be a Brahmana, he cannot engage in the service of anyone else. Otherwise, he at once falls from his position and becomes a Sudra. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami belonged to a very respectable family. That was they were Brahmin family. But because they engaged in the service of Nawab Hussain Shah, not even as ordinary clerks, but as ministers, they were ostracized from Brahminical society. Now it should be noted that they were forced into this work by the Shah. Indeed, they became like Mohammedans and even had to change their names. Well, they changed their names. I'm saying they had to change their names. Unless a Brahmana is very pure, he cannot accept charity from others. Charity should be given to those who are pure. Even if one is born in a family of Brahmanas, if one acts like a Sudra, he cannot accept charity, for this is strictly prohibited. Although the Kshatriyas are almost as qualified as Brahmanas, even they cannot accept charity. This is strictly prohibited in this verse by the word apratigraha. What to speak of lower social orders, even the Kshatriyas cannot accept charity. The king or government may levy taxes upon citizens in various ways by revenue duties, custom duties, realization of fines, and so on, provided the king is able to fully give full protection to his subjects to assure security of their life and property. Unless he is able to give protection, he cannot levy taxes. However, a king must not levy taxes upon the Brahmanas. And let's see. However, a king must not levy any tax upon the Brahmins and the Vaishnavas. Okay. However, a king must not levy any tax upon the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas fully engaged in Krishna consciousness. So there's a lot of technicality here that Prabhupada obviated. He said later on, of course, that this pretty much doesn't apply to us. It can't because of the reality of what life is now. But the important point is that he makes here is that, or one important point is that in this last sentence, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas fully engaged in Krishna consciousness. So Brahmanas are of two types, especially nowadays, later now in the Kali Yuga. Brahmanas are very seldom Vaishnavas. They choose the impersonal path or the smarta path, what's called the smarta path. They worship many demigods and stuff, and they're just trying to go to heaven or something for a nice 10,000-year life, and then back down to earth again, and maybe even down to hell again. The course of a jiva soul is like, if you can imagine a vertical figure 8, the infinity figure 8. Well, infinity figure is like an 8, number 8 laid sideways. So if you turn that up like a figure 8, the soul, he goes up to heaven. He gets attached to heaven, but he has to come back down. When he's back down to the earth planet, he gets passionate. He likes life the way it was in his memories, in his dreams. So he gets greedy and starts stepping on other people to get what he wants. Then he winds up going downward through hell and then back up around to the earth planet. Now he's pious because he suffered so much through not only in hell, but temporary hells, but being given so many different animal bodies. So when he gets back to earth from hell, he's more inclined to try to help people out of their suffering. So he does pious things, good works, building hospitals, digging wells. Then he goes up to heaven again for another 10,000 years, and then he comes back down to earth. So in other words, it's like infinite. The Vaishnavas know the real purpose and how to get out of all of that, and you don't have to worry about hell anymore. And a Vaishnava is better than a Brahmana. I just read that in another text recently. A Vaishnava is automatically a Brahmana, even if he's born in a family of dog eaters, Chandala, Swapacha. But as long as he's fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, the way Prabhupada defines it, for instance, or actually the way more stricter acharyas in the past defined devotional service, they're to be accepted as Brahmins immediately, just like Advaita Acharya accepted Haridas Thakur, the Namacharya, who was born in a Muslim family. So, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur started the process of initiating devotees with the thread, the sacred thread. And knowing already that they're Vaishnavas, he went ahead with the formality to help gain the respect of the rest of society. And at that point, he started saying, like a devotee who comes to him, to Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, he would test them to make sure they can do all the rounds and the regulations. And then after that, he would give them the initiation, because a Vaishnava can be anyone who just has faith and can't do all those things. And it's therefore, but people can't accept that. People would barely respect a Vaishnava who come from a Sudra family or a Mohammedan family, for instance, and is initiated with the sacred thread. So he did that much. He started that, and he started, and he also changed Vaishnava renunciates from the Babaji, from the Babaji uh, activity of full renunciation to Tridanda Sannyas. So because the Tridanda Sannyas, he has to engage in preaching. The Babajis are generally sit by themselves in Vrindavan or Mayapur or something. So the Vaishnavas, on the other hand, anybody who has sincerely chanted, and I just read this recently, in fact, I have the text for that. It would take me a while to find it. I misplace everything, but I have it written. Anybody who sincerely chants Krishna's holy name even once, even out of fear because of a situation, he is automatically and immediately put in the Vaishnava category. He's out of the jurisdiction of Yamaraj. Yamaraj can't touch him anymore, or her. He or she is like if Yamaraj's Yamadutas who go and look at the what they do is they troll around in Bharat Varsha Earth, the middle planetary system, going after people that are sinners and going to just receive their punishment. And as soon as they come out of the body, they take them away to Yamaraj for judgment. But Yamaraj told those Yamadutas, they're scary looking guys. Yamaraj told those Yamadutas, don't go near anyone who's chanted Hare Krishna even once. And it would be in that person's, it would be evident to that person, to those Yamadutas, that the person has done that even once, because there's a kind of presence there, like the Sudarshan Chakra or something that keeps Yamadutas away. And even if he's engaged in sinful activities, if he's done that once, he's in Krishna's court, not in Yamaraj's court. So the Yamadutas are instructed by Yamaraj to suddenly get down off your obeisances from a distance and then flee to a distant place immediately, so that you don't wind up in hell. And I. Now Yamaraj, he himself is a great authority on devotional service. He's one of the 12 Mahajans. So and in those verses I read recently, there's two kinds of pure devotees. Prabhupada defines them and uses the term pure differently in two different ways. One is a pure devotee is one who doesn't think of himself at all and doesn't care about his body. In fact, he doesn't care what he looks like. He doesn't care how good his food is, because he's caring only about what makes Krishna happy. And it's because he sees Krishna everywhere in the bodies of all other living things, and he's in ecstasy. So, but yet we can't make that standard. Most of us can't do that, and yet we're going back to Godhead. So how's that happening? It's because we have the intercession. Prabhupada and other Vaishnava acharyas, they intercede for their disciples. And their definition, Prabhupada's definition, also of a pure devotee. In other words, the previous definition, that they're like Babajis, they don't care about their body, they don't care if they eat good, they don't care if they look good, they don't care what people think, because they're seeing Krishna everywhere. So they're in an ecstatic state of love that keeps them only thinking of what makes Krishna happy. But those who are still have the material impasse in their hearts, they are also pure devotees if they're following the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master. So he says, Prabhupada in that case says that that anybody who's acting on the liberated platform, in our case, 16 rounds and 4 regulations, is a pure devotee. And in fact, anybody who chanted Hare Krishna even once is actually a pure devotee and liberated, in the sense that he doesn't have to deal with the Yamaraj anymore. And let's say you can't follow the 4 regs in the 16 rounds. Let's say you can't do that. All you have to do is have faith that what Krishna says or what Prabhupada says you have to do is right, and don't justify your own position as being equal to those who are doing it, who are able to follow. Change, as if changing the philosophy in your mind so that you can think of yourself as a liberated pure devotee or something. In other words, Lord Chaitanya does not like pretense. He doesn't like somebody who doesn't honor the requirements of the ashram that a person is in. For instance, you don't need to become a sannyasi if your home is Krishna conscious. Basically, if your home is Krishna conscious, why leave it? So there's no need to become a sannyasi. But on the other hand, somebody who leaves home or takes up sannyas and is not acting on the sannyas platform, not following those strictures of the sannyas level of requirements, strictness, Lord Chaitanya and the acharyas do not like that pretense. And so it's very severe for them. It can be very severe. Ultimately, Bhagavad Gita, text 31, chapter 3, text 31, purport, Prabhupada states that if you just have faith and you don't have any pretense about it, and you just appreciate and know that someday and pray, someday you might be able to follow all the regs and rounds, and you don't bother to change the philosophy, and you're not pretending anything. You're in the same boat. You're going back to Godhead. As soon as you have the opportunity, though, to follow, you're obliged to get a spiritual master. As soon as you have that opportunity, when Krishna presents the opportunity of a guru, or when your family situation changes and you have an opportunity to become more pure in your activities, you have an obligation to do that. But in the meantime, if a piano drops on your head from a window up high and squashes you like a bug on the sidewalk, you're going back to Godhead as long as you're not envious and you chanted Hare Krishna only once in a sincere way. They'll train you when you get there. You see, so because this is how important it is to understand that ultimately, back in the old days, eons ago, all Brahmins were Vaishnavas, and or at least they were mixed. They were enough into Vaishnavism that they were considered demigods. They were like the demigods. They have material desires, but they're in Krishna's court, not Yamaraj's. So but Prabhupada was concerned towards the well, this is only the 7th canto, but he was always worried that Krishna would take him back before he would complete his Bhagvatam and so many other books. In one, let's see, in Prabhupada Lilamrita, no, in one of the other books, it's by one of his disciples that came out since Prabhupada Lilamrita by Satarup. It was either a book titled Swamiji by Brahmananda, or it was a book entitled Miracle on Second Avenue by Mukunda Das Goswami. Prabhupada wrote to a devotee named Tushta Krishna in a letter in 1973, and he said, anyone who is following is a pure devotee, just following the program. And I just remembered that incidentally, but in one of those 2 other books, let's see, what was it? Do you remember what I was saying? In one of those 2 other books, Swamiji and well, where did I was trying to remember where I heard it. That Oh, well, anyway, I'll go back to that Bhagavad Gita text. The important thing is that until you become able to be strict, and you can't, as long as you don't alter the philosophy in your mind so you can think of yourself as advanced and equal to the others in some kind of pretense. Um, and like I say, a piano drops on your head, you're going back to Godhead. You'll get your training in the spiritual sky. But Krishna wants to see us, give us opportunities, and so therefore you always have to, look for them and surrender. One way to tell if Krishna is talking to you in your heart is, well, famous psychics say that when you're thinking about how you're going to do something make a presentation in a corporate office, or plan how to arrange a shipping department in some corporate office, or plan how you're going to talk to your spouse. You're trying to think of what you want to say to your spouse. And you've got a train of thought. First you'll say this, then you'll do that, then you'll say this, then you'll do that. And all of a sudden, kabam, another thought comes into your head. It's like an impression. It had nothing to do with what you were previously thinking. So that could be one of the higher beings who are not necessarily devotees or devotee related, just a higher being that, is some kind of angel type, Gandharva type person, or it could be somebody who's darker, a darker being. In any event, they make an impression upon you. They impress themselves upon your thinking. For Vaishnavas and pious people, it comes from the heart. And now, one way you can tell if it's actual Super Soul Gauranga, Paramatma, Krishna or not, is when you think about that thought, when you let yourself stop your normal train of thought in your mind and you think about that thought, and it means you've got to surrender to Krishna, then you know it's Krishna. Then you know it's Krishna. You may, and generally the devotee's reaction to that, including me, is, oh, no, where did that thought come from? And then you give it another thought and think, wow, yeah, I'm not ready for that. And then you just keep on doing what you're doing and thinking what you're thinking. Well, there you got to think about your thinking. The fact is, that's Krishna talking to you. If the way you know that it's Krishna, Super Soul talking to you, is if doing that impression thought that interrupts your regular train of thought means a little more surrender to Krishna. That's how you can tell who's talking to you in your heart. So there's a lot of technical stuff in this about what the castes in this purport, in the text and purport, what the castes can do and cannot do. And Prabhupada obviated that when he set up ISKCON. He says, ISKCON is a society of Brahmins, and yet we're acting like Sudras and farmers and Kshatriyas in various cases, because we have to be like Dronacharya on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, who was a powerful Brahmin, but he had to lead the troops in the war at a certain point after the passing of Bhishma Dev in that war for Duryodhan. They were obliged by Kshatriya rules to fight for the king that was of whom whose kingdom, Duryodhan was the son of Dhritarashtra, and Bhishma Dev and Dronacharya were living in their kingdom and taking their shelter of Dhritarashtra, the blind guy who shouldn't even have been king. But so Dronacharya is a Brahmin, yet what's he doing on the battlefield? Because he was Arjuna's martial art instructor, but now he was obliged to fight for Duryodhan because he'd been taking shelter of King Dhritarashtra, and Duryodhan's his son, and Duryodhan's in charge. So he has to act as a Kshatriya, even though he's a Brahmin. And Prabhupada's society of Brahmins do everything from farming and milking cows to some Kshatriya work, administrative. Some guys try to go into politics. But that becomes difficult, and some guys try to go into educate. They try to get PhDs and stuff, and some of them do. But then there's Maya attacking them. For instance, the devotee in Bangladesh, Chinmoy Krishnadas, he's I don't know. I mean, I keep getting the feeling that he should just sit in jail and think about what he's done. He started the additional level of hatred between the Muslims and the Hindus across the border. He started all that trouble. There was already random attacks on temples, on Hindu temples, not just ISKCON, in Bangladesh at times by a few extremists. But most of the violence against opposing parties um, to uh, to most of the violence against most of the violence going on in Bangladesh was interpolitical violence, not religious. Then Chinmoy Krishnadas, he wants to be a famous political guy or something. He's this is why I'm pretty sure this is why ISKCON released him, dismissed him, because he wasn't fixed on trying to bring about Krishna consciousness in the world. He was trying to make a mark for himself in the world as a Mahatma Gandhi type guy, a martyr, and become a big political movement, thinking that you can, bring heaven to earth, make heaven on earth. So he goes and he does something to insult the he climbs a flagpole and he puts a saffron flag over or above the Bangladeshi flag. Then all the stuff against ISKCON and the Hindu temples specifically starts. It was only after that. And his lawyers are threatened, and now we've got so when the people of Bangladesh started showing themselves stepping on ISKCON markers and ISKCON logos and Indian flags. That's when that started, and then when the hospitality industry in Northeast India, up in Manipur and Assam and places like that, where they're close to, they have a border with Bangladesh, and down here in Bengal, uh, the hospitality industry, movies, theaters, hotels, they stopped saying, okay, no Muslims allowed. So that's their response. We don't, no, they didn't say that. They said no Bangladeshis allowed. And so that was sort of like a retaliation of them in the media stepping on our flags and ISKCON's logo. And then it just goes from there. The border guards on both sides are continuously confronting. In fact, people are continuously confronting. And that's what set it off. Now, somebody else would have done it if Chinmoy didn't, because that's the collective karma. This is supposed to happen. We're in a stage right now of what's called Rudra Samvartika. I think that's what it's called. It's a lunar calendar development every so many 30 or 40 years. It's it's Krodhi Samvatsara. That's it. Krodhi Samvatsara. It's a time of anger that lasts for about a lunar year, and it already started back in April, I think. So it may be ending soon, like April, May, or June. To the extent that it's troublesome now, where we've got every ethnicity in India, also in Bangladesh, Mayapur next door, they're all trying to secede from their countries and become their own country. Happening in Pakistan, Bangladesh, all these ragtag armies are popping up, and then on a higher level, on a more powerful level, you've got everybody spending money on nuclear stuff, nuclear weapons, racing against who has the best jet fighters and business, all all this kind of stuff is going on, and that's likely now. I'm betting that because of the prediction, I'm betting that that's going to stabilize. The problems will continue, but it's going to stabilize around April, May, or June. And so it won't be like a big threat of war anymore. In fact, back in Prabhupada's day, uh, in the 60s, the threat of nuclear war was much worse. That was the first Cold War, and Russia was trying to get missiles into Cuba, right down south of our devotee here, who's in Florida, and uh, our devotee in our audience here, right? Just Cuba's just right south of Florida, and there's all these standoffs, with nuclear weapons aimed at everybody. And also, we were in environmental trouble. And Prabhupada is convinced that um, I just heard this one recently. I didn't know it, but Prabhupada was convinced that once the holy name was heard, once the holy name became a household phrase in every major city and a lot of towns and villages all around the world, including in a lot of tribal areas, that stopped that. The Mother Durga, Lord Shiva, the father of the material world, would not do his dance after that. He would not do his dance that causes disasters here and there. Lord Shiva actually has a secret life. Shivites don't know that Lord Shiva has a secret life. It's his Gaudiya Vaishnav life. He loves being in Vrindavan. He loves being the mountain that Nanda Maharaj has his palace standing on, so that all the gopis, Krishna, and everybody will be walking on his grasses on his mountain. He loves being Gopeshwar with his linga, Gopeshwar Mahadev with his lingam in downtown Vrindavan, the original temple there. And he brings souls, and when he brings souls out of Yamaraj's hell to hand them, to throw them into animal bodies, they follow him at night. And when he assigns them to animal bodies, and he's doing this everywhere all at once. But every once in a while he sees a soul like Shiva, my tech support guy, or myself, who's tired of it all. He senses that because he's the false ego in our heart. He's in our heart just like Lord Gauranga is, his super soul. So he grabs that one, he puts him in his pocket, and then he waits until he goes back to his secret life, ecstatic activities in Vrindavan, and then he says, and then somehow or other he drops us off, those of us who were coming out of hell and who he sees as materially exhausted. He drops us off in Krishna's court, and then we hear the holy name, and no longer can Yamaraj touch us. So that's Lord Shiva's secret life. Most Shaivites don't even know that. Lord Nityananda out on Parikram, before he came to meet with Lord Chaitanya wasn't even born yet. He didn't appear yet. He was 12 years old. He left home. He's out on Parikram to all these various sites, and he went to Buddha's place. He went to let's see, I forgot how I got off onto that one. But oh yeah, he spent a lot of time in Vrindavan in ecstasy as a cowherd boy, and then when Lord Chaitanya was born, he felt it in his heart, and he shouted, and it shook the universe. In fact, when Lord Nityananda was born, 12 years or 15 years, 20 years before that, when he was born, Lord Shiva, in the heart of everyone in the material world, realized who that was. That's Lord Nityananda is Shankarshan, whom Lord Shiva meditates on. And so he shouted so loud that it practically cracked the universe. And demon wives had miscarriages, and demons lost their courage in battle, wherever they were doing what their stuff was, from the shout of that couldn't be heard. Now, this couldn't be heard on our level. It's a frequency that we in Kali Yuga can't hear. We're like little monkeys compared to the people that can hear that. They're more pious, and they're on other planets or something like that, or more powerful and subtle than us. So the Vaishnavas, as long as they can act, the point is here, I think I was saying is that as long as the Vaishnava can act like a Vaishnava, or at least he wants to be one sincerely, and does not change or alter the philosophy to suit his own ends, he's in the same boat as everybody else. He goes back to Godhead like everybody else. He can just get his training in the spiritual sky. And all these technicalities, oh yeah, I was saying all these technicalities of what the caste can and cannot do in this purport is because Prabhupada was concerned at every minute that Krishna may pull him back. Oh yeah, I remember why I was referring to those other books. Krishna actually came to him in a dream and said one time and said right after a heart attack, Prabhupada had a heart attack. Krishna came to him and said, "Hey, when are you coming back? When are you coming back?" And Prabhupada said, "Well, I have so much to do." Prabhupada didn't want to come to do in the first place. He was sent. And there's a principle there. There's a lot of devotees, like all the six Goswamis, they were originally female. They're manjaris. They're servants of the original of the gopis that dance with Krishna. And their ecstasy can be even greater than the gopis themselves because they're servants of the servants. And they come voluntarily. But sometimes there's such a great soul and he's having such a good time with Krishna and he doesn't volunteer for it. And Krishna says, "Hey, I need you to go. You can do so much more than these others." Although the six Goswamis were pretty darn powerful. So he sent Prabhupada and says, "I'm not accustomed to austerity. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to stay here with you." He sends Prabhupada anyway, and Prabhupada says, "Okay," surrenders to it. And then when he gets here, he's attached to what he's doing. He sees how it's pleasing Krishna. And Krishna said, "You just go and I'll take care of everything." And Prabhupada started seeing how Krishna was taking care of everything for him, making people meet people that made things happen so that he could spread Krishna's holy name all over the world. And so, and that was in one of those other books that sometimes Krishna, it said many are called, but few are chosen. And that's what that's what Krishna did with Prabhupada. And he was the one. And when Prabhupada was later asked, "Now, how come Lord Chaitanya didn't do this, get it to every town and village in the world?" And Prabhupada said humbly, he just looked up and said humbly, "I'm just trying to be a Vaishnava, but Krishna wanted to give me the credit. It's an opportunity for me to get the credit." But Prabhupada never directly referred to him as being the person that was predicted by Lord Nityananda as the great Senapati, the great general, and further predicted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur as being a great general who will come and spread the holy name all over the world, and all races are going to be coming right here to Mayapur. It's already happened. Oh yeah, and the great catastrophe that we faced in the mid 60s, early 60s, before President Kennedy was shot, that disaster was averted, and we were much closer to nuclear war then. Now it's just business. Now it's just weapons arm. Now it's just contract weapons manufacturers that are making the most money. They know that nobody's going to have the nerve to push the button and start a big nuclear war. They know that. It was much worse before. So this hectic time with all these things going on is bound to stabilize. And the problems will continue, but they'll be stable. And in fact, it'll gradually decrease. And then the places that are bound to have more problems will continue to have more problems, but it won't be under the threat of worldwide disaster anymore. That's what it looks like so far. But Prabhupada was writing all these technicalities about the castes because, excuse me, because like I say, he was afraid that Krishna may pull him back at any minute. Oh yeah, there was a humorous aspect to that. During one time when Krishna was entering Prabhupada's dream and saying, "When are you coming back? When are you coming back?" Prabhupada said, "I have to do this and I have to do that. I have to complete Bhagvatam. I have to write Chaitanya Charitamrita. I have to translate Chaitanya Charitamrita." and Krishna interrupted, all right, you continue your nonsense, but I'm pulling you back soon. And Krishna is making fun of himself. He's the one who asked him Prabhupada to come here. So when he says that, all right, you continue this nonsense then, but I'm going to be pulling you back soon. Krishna, I mean, Prabhupada is very dear to Krishna. And Krishna was just making fun of himself for sending Prabhupada there when he said, all right, you continue this nonsense. Go ahead and do your translations and stuff. I give you time. Anyway, Prabhupada was so he wrote all these technicalities about what the caste can and can't do in this purport, and this is something he felt was needed because that was what he thought was the next project, and then Krishna took him. The next project was to establish Varnashram Dharma, farms, self-sufficiency, all those things. But Prabhupada, I mean, Krishna couldn't wait to get him back. But he wanted to make sure that all this information was in the books that he was able to get out. So that's why Narada Muni, that's why he's going through all these details that don't seem very relevant to us now in this purport, as Narada Muni is talking to, who later incarnated as Srivas Thakur in the Panchatattva. He's talking to Yudhisthira Maharaj I think it was right after Yudhisthira Maharaj completed the Ashwamedha sacrifice that made him the emperor of the world, right before they were exiled by losing in a gambling match. The Mahabharat story of that gambling match is very inaccurate and way off. Maharaj Yudhisthira did not gamble Draupadi, his wife, away. That didn't happen. When there's inaccuracies, in fact, there's very little left of the Mahabharat that's original. It's mainly a collection of a lot of stories now of adventure and fantastic stories now. It doesn't follow the original theme that Vyasadeva wrote. It's too filled up with a lot of additional lore now of the Mahabharata. For an accurate picture of what happened during the Mahabharata, one needs to go to the 8th canto. It begins with the war in heaven as a result of the demigods and the demons churning the ocean of milk. And when the pot of nectar was developed out of that, a war ensued after Mohini stole the nectar portion for the demons, presented it to the demigods. And the demons that were killed in that fight, they became kings on earth in Krishna's time. And then that's when Mother Bhumi, the earth, went to Brahmaloka 5,000 years ago to get Krishna to come back now down to earth and kill these demons again and send them where they need to go. But a lot of them were actually liberated. They actually went back to Godhead because they were thinking about Krishna so much. Kamsa, King Kamsa, who sent demons out every day to Krishna's village, the humble cowherd village of Krishna. He sent a demon every day. We only hear about 12 or 14 of them, the primary ones, the biggest ones in the Mahabharata, I mean in the Srimad Bhagvatam. But there was a demon every day, and even the cowherd boys were helping Krishna fight him. They were powerful. Those cowherd boys were very powerful because they loved Krishna, they automatically had power even over Krishna. They could defeat Krishna in wrestling, a lot of them. And it's only the big ones, the big, most powerful ones that scared even the demigods that Krishna, that are listed in the Bhagavatam, that Krishna had to kill. And many of them were actually liberated after that. Well, yeah, King Kamsa became the Kazi in Lord Chaitanya's Leela, who wanted to stop the kirtans at Srivas Angam, just up the street here. Shiva just got back from there. My Shiva Jiva tech here, he just got back from there on a parikram. Srivas Angam, which is Srivas Thakur. Yeah, yeah. He let's see, he's the I forgot what I was saying. This parikram just happened the other day. I wasn't able to go. So oh yeah, the Qazi who wanted to break, who showed up and broke the mridangas at Srivas Thakur's house, where he sent men to do it. And later on, and then right after that, Lord Chaitanya decided it's time to come out of these private kirtans that are keeping people awake at night in Srivas's house, and spread this holy name all over, and just overtake Bengal and just or overtake Navadvip and teach the Qazi a good lesson. So then he got everybody fired up, and they had torches coming at night. You know, there's just gobzillions of people coming out of the woodwork chanting the holy names. Hindus coming out of the woodwork chanting the holy names. Got to the Qazi's house, and his guards just they hid their beards. They ran, and they're about to destroy the Qazi's house. In one version, they did destroy Qazi's house, but and both happened. It's the difference between the Chaitanya Bhagavat of Vrindavan Das Thakur and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. They report them a little bit differently, but yet both happen. That's possible. Krishna makes that possible. Both leelas happen simultaneously. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya, the Qazi, Lord Chaitanya got the Qazi to promise to let the kirtans go on, and now they're public too, to let the kirtans go on day and night whenever. And the Qazi, sitting and talking with him, said, yes, from this day forward, not only I, but my my descendants will always honor and protect your Harinam Sankirtan movement. And that's where our current symbol of and that's Kamsa. That's what happened to Kamsa. He's a devotee now. And so here's Prabhupada trying to get all these technical instructions out, and being told to he wanted to get them out, and he when he got to the point of Varnashram taking over, Prabhupada tried to leave India again, but he was pretty ill, and he only got as far as London. He was going to come to the farm in Pennsylvania and establish that, but he couldn't. He had to come back. And then I was there I was here in May for Gurpurnim, and I got my Bhakti Shastri degree along with a few other guys on Radha Damodar traveling Sankirtan party at the time, and then when we went to Vrindavan, and then it was a few months after that Prabhupada was taken back by Krishna, and so it's left to us to complete that Varnashram Dharma thing. To complete that whole, and it's happening now. Instead of 108 establishments, there's 800 establishments of different kinds, farms, households that are acting as temples, and temples going up. They're not going up in popular in the same place that they were when Prabhupada was here in America. Some of them are, a few. I think Atlanta's starting to take off again. But they're happening all over in Eastern Europe. And even in Africa and South America. Okay, so at this point, I should ask if there's any questions. Go ahead and take a few minutes. You may find something, contradictions, or I love resolving contradictions, or just just more details. Anything anybody would like to ask, I'll give you a few minutes. Go ahead, and if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for clarifying few things, especially for Bangladesh. I used to always think about what happened. But that's it. Thank you for that one. And thank you for taking your time and explaining us here. Hare Krishna.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else? Take your time and come up with a question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dana Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. It was such a nice class reflecting upon, yes, Hari Prabhu, reflecting upon the unfinished agenda that Prabhupada left for us to establish Varnashrama Dharma. he gave bhakti to us, but it's imperative to have Varnashrama Dharma as a foundation of it. Because yes, it's good that some Shuddha Bhakta, some pure devotees may give us Krishna Bhakti, but there should be a process to create this Shuddha Bhaktas, pure devotees, and a perfect Varnashrama system is the process to create such Shuddha Bhaktas. So who will spread the glories of the Lord everywhere? Yes, so yes, you are right that and that unfinished agenda of Prabhupada is coming to fruition. Yeah, gradually with the temple communities and farm communities, and the Kshatriya part was missing, and now with the Prime Minister actively participating in Mahaprabhu's mission, that part is also getting slowly fulfilled. So it gives a lot of happiness to see that the whole Varnashrama is getting attuned to the real purpose of it, which is to attain Krishna Bhakti.
Yeah, the Kshatriyas now, that's guys that go into politics. I distinguished that from the Maya, because of the Maya that can affect you when you go into politics. I distinguished that from what that guy Chinmoy Krishnadas was doing. He wasn't focused on spreading Krishna consciousness. So there's a distinction there. And when you get into politics and you get power and authority, you have to watch out for that. When you become a PhD, to become the modern Brahmin, which is the PhD, Prabhupada wanted people to stay in their doctoral programs and teach the scientific community, you may get bewildered by the material energy itself in its very nature. If you spend thousands of dollars and hours getting a PhD, and then as a physicist or a chemist, and then find out or realize and accept, or in other words, when you do that, you forget that Maya is a dream. We're sleeping we're dreaming in the lap of Maya. It is asat, that which is not. And so when a devotee commits thousands of hours and dollars to attaining a degree in physics, PhD in physics or chemistry or something like that, they kind of, their attack of Maya is to think that there's two things. There's consciousness and there's matter, and it's real. No, matter is actually asat, that which is not. It's hard for them to, in other words, that's the way Maya attacks the Brahmins that Prabhupada won, who could preach to the scientists if they get a PhD or if they go for higher education like that. The Kshatriyas, again, they can be attacked like Chinmoy Krishnadas and just get all caught up in the power of being an administrative or political leader. The Vaishyas who are establishing the farms and business, they can get all caught up in investments and playing the market, stock market and stuff like that, high risk stuff, and then you're gambling. You see, so in other words, Maya is going to attack everybody, and we have to stay, make sure that our focus is on Varnashram Dharma, just like you were saying, Parthadas, that it is happening, but we just have to be careful when we try, when we enter the material world to do what they're doing, to get them to do what we do, and to see the truth, what the real thing is, that Maya will attack us in various ways. I saw somebody else, SK-iPhone, pop up here. Did somebody else have a question too? Okay, well, I'm gonna cut you guys loose then. And I appreciate, I'm really, excuse me. I really appreciate you guys having me and giving me an opportunity to. Yeah.
I had one question. It was for interest. I mean, I didn't know about Chant Kazi's past birth. So you said Kamsa came as Chant Kazi. So yes, it is so. So that very nice to to understand. If they inimical, to Krishna, that Asua, that is envy will be there even in the next birth also. I mean, that's why Kamsa didn't get the Sayudya Mukti. Oh, sorry, only get the Sayudya Mukti. He didn't get the Swarupa Mukti. Only the Brahman Mukti. He got the Brahman Mukti Kamsa. And after Brahman Mukti, he might have come. I mean, he might have
you are off.
come to a Chant Kazi to get purified.
Yeah, Krishna. Krishna, there's the classic example of Krishna sent one of the demons that Kamsa sent to kill Krishna was Putana, a witch, but because she was also behaving like with a motherly affection, although she had poison in her breast, Krishna gave her the position of a mother in Goloka, one of Krishna's many mothers. And there's a lot of the demons that Krishna killed personally, plus all the warriors that died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, every one of them, both sides, they were all given liberation. Krishna hands out liberation like somebody might be handing out Kleenex in a hospital or at a wedding or something. Just liberation here. Oh, you're suffering material? Oh, here, get liberated. Krishna hands out liberation, but he does not hand out Krishna prema. Lord Chaitanya came and did that. What's important for us to realize is that if you know that the close associates, if you truly understand that the close associates of Lord Chaitanya, such as Swarup Damodar, the Panchatattva members, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, if you know that they are Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated souls that came here with Krishna, they never were in the material world, although Srivas Thakur, he had a previous birth. That could be Leela too, not just karma birth. He had 2 lives before. But the point is that if you understand that they are eternally liberated souls, you're going back to Godhead right away. That's all you really need. However, and Prabhupada says this, he says immediately. That's what Narottam Das Thakur sings, and Prabhupada says that immediately. But you, like I say, if you do get an opportunity to surrender and start doing what disciples do, or if you can purify your activity and before a piano drops on your head, you're obliged to do it. That's all. Okay, so any other questions? Okay. It looks like we're about ready to wrap this up. And I appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity to share these things with you.
No, Prabhuji, we are so fortunate to have you and your guidance today. You explained so nicely. Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam. Such a wonderful class, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for your time, because in Mayapur you are very busy, but still, and there are so many difficulties about internet and everything, but still you give your time and explain very nicely for us. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for arranging all of this for everyone. Prabhupada, I'm sure he's really happy with you and Rupina and all these devotees that are participating. This makes, I would be a great sinner if I didn't help with this, because it's an opportunity for me to help with this, because this is what Prabhupada wants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Prabhupada
you.
wants this to happen. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All good, Prabhupada. Yeah. So
All glories
if
to Prabhupada.
anybody has,
Hmm?
sorry, Prabhuji. If anybody has no question or comments, we can end up the call here.
Okay. Hare Krishna to all.
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नमः श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हिज ग्रेस गोकुलदास प्रभु की जय। थैंक यू सो मच प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Hare
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
हरि
Krishna.
हरि हरि बोल।